Hello and welcome. My name is Gregor Wolf and this is from zero to a Fiori Launchpad and one custom app in 30 minutes. So let's first set up the Fiori Launchpad. In the previous video I already shown that I requested the license key, and the license key is in the meantime arrived by email and I've installed it. For now let's continue with the setup of the Fiori Launchpad. That is very easy due to the task lists. The task list can be started with the transaction code STC01, and then you have two important task lists. One is the basic gateway basic config, which will enable gateway services which are needed for the Fiori Launchpad, because the Fiori Launchpad, for example the catalogs, are filled from gateway services also. And I will just execute these tasks, and they should execute without any problems, and that will activate the needed gateway services that we need to run the Fiori Launchpad. Okay, and the next step is actual Fiori Launchpad initialization, and let's see what steps are there. And there are a lot of steps also here: gateway services to be activated and ICM profile parameters set, but these steps are skipped. But yeah, let's just run it, and now we should have a running Launchpad. That's very easy. On this system actually it will already be set up, but with the task lists you can just do it. It's easy in your own system too. And now let's go on and try the Fiori Launchpad. There is a special transaction code, as you've seen here, /UI2/FLP, and it will bring you to the Fiori Launchpad. In your own system you will not see anything here, as it's a little bit pre-configured. You will see something, but for your own system we will now see how to add a custom app to your Fiori Launchpad. Okay, so to develop custom apps we have to connect our on-premise NetWeaver system with the HANA Cloud Platform, because there the development happens in the so-called Web IDE. So to create such a connectivity we have to get the HANA Cloud Connector. On the system I'm working on is already installed. Otherwise you can just easily go to this web page, tools.hana.ondemand.com/cloud, and here you find the HANA Cloud Connector. What I can only recommend is really use also the SAP JVM, because then it will run without issues. So download the Cloud Connector from there, and after you've started the Cloud Connector, there is a lot of good documentation for the Cloud Connector, so check it out how the installation goes. Then you will be able to connect to the Cloud Connector, and you will get a similar warning, because at first it's a self-signed certificate, and yeah, just confirms the security exception. And now you can log on, and the logon is administrator. And if you don't know the password yet, just open the very good documentation, and you will find also here for the initial configuration how to log on, which port you have to use, and also here you find the password just to copy and paste. So manage is the password. So we will go through the configuration, and we will just have a master system. So we apply this installation type. And then we will ask again for the current password, which is manage, and a new password that I will set to the same as my master password. Okay, now we can start with the configuration, and as I'm using the HANA trial, I choose this landscape host. Now I have to get all the rest of the information which I've prepared here, just to copy and paste it in. And for the account user, just remove the trial. I put in my password, and the rest can be left empty. If you are in a corporate network, then please maintain the HTTPS proxy, which could be needed. Sometimes it is not, as you can have a direct connection. Okay, apply the settings, and now the Cloud Connector is already now connected to the HANA Cloud Platform, but there is no systems exposed. So let's go to the access control and let's add a new system, which is an ABAP system. We will connect via HTTP. You can also use the RFC protocol, and I have to provide an internal and an external host name. So for internal, I take this one, which is where we're connected before with Fiori Launchpad, and that is let's do it correctly. So we have internal host and we have internal port, and then we go next, and then we have the virtual host, which is the cloud part, and let's do that here. Let's go next, and don't cancel what I'm doing. Okay, let's go again, and let's take this one, paste it, and let's go next, and here we just make virtual. Okay, just double check, yes. And now we can go next, and finish. Okay, so now we have our virtual host and an internal host, and now we have to provide which resources can be accessed from the cloud platform. Never do that what I'm doing now. I want to have it easy in the moment, and I'm exposing everything, so from the root path, and I expose this path and the sub path. In a productive environment, you will only expose the services that you really want. Okay, and I enable that. And now I have my Cloud Connector. Let's check back to the state. Also here, everything is green. Let's check now in the HANA Cloud Platform cockpit how our connectivity looks like. So here, there's connectivity, and we see there is something connected, and our just defined backend system is available. So let's see. Now, to access the services from an HTML5 application, you have to create a destination. I've already prepared such a destination, called it A4H, which is a name of the HANA ABAP system. And here I've provided all the required information. The name, the destination type, the URL, which will point to the name we've given our system. It's proxy type on-premise, so it uses a cloud connector. And we use basic authentication with the developer and its password. And we have Web IDE enabled, a system name, and a lot of usages for the Web IDE. Okay, so we could check this connection. Okay, backend status could not be determined. Let's see. It could be because now no specific path is specified, and otherwise we will figure out. Okay, so to try it now, we go to the Web IDE, and here I will just create a new project by doing a right click on the workspace, and I will do an extension project, because for that I don't have to do anything special. I will select the original application from the UI5 ABAP repository, and the system we are using is the A4H system. Okay, you see there is an error. Cannot select system, check your configuration of the ABAP development tools. Yeah, that is one step I have to do in the backend. There is a specific service which I have to activate in the SICF. Let's go here, and now let's search for the service name ADT, which is the ABAP development tools. And this ABAP development tools are not yet active in the ICF. So let's activate the service. And now let's recheck if we have more luck with connectivity now. And now we really will see that our Cloud Connector connectivity is working, as we get a list of applications which are in our backend system. So let's check our documentation again. So I've shown you the destination to the web ID. We want to now create an enhancement, so we activated the ICF node. And now let's take this application, which is a reference application for the purchase order approval. Okay, let's take this to the web ID and let's search for it, and we see that is exactly the application we want to try. And let's go next, and we open the application in the extensibility pane, because that will allow us on a really nicely graphical way to, for example, hide something in our application. Let's see. The application comes up and shows us really live data. And now let's see if I can go to the something here in the order summary page, footer, the footer toolbar, and there is a reject button. For example, let's remove this reject button. We just hide the control. And let's have a refresh, and then we should see that we don't see the button anymore, perhaps. So there's a reject all button and approve all. Okay, perhaps that was because the summary, I wanted this button to be removed, so that is perhaps in the order details. So, but at least we are consistent then and have no reject button anymore, so only the orders can only be approved. Okay, let's do a refresh here. And now we see there's only the approve button left. Okay, perfect, that looks fine. And let's see if we can run our application. Just do right click here, run as web application. And off we go. A new tab is opened and the application works and no reject button anymore. Good, very nice. So we have connectivity to our backend. The approval app enhancement, that was just really to check the connectivity. And now let's see what we really want to do. We want to create our own custom app. So first of all, we have to create, activate a backend OData service, which we can use for this custom app. And this is done in the transaction /iwfnd/main_service. Activate and maintain services. So here you go to add service, takes a technical name, and this service is coming from the local system. Okay, we have, let's see, local. Okay, so a lot of services, and let's see for the external. Perhaps this service is already there. No, I chosen the transaction name and not the service name. So let's go again with this service name. And this service is really not active yet. So let's add it to the services, and we add it as a local object and just confirm it. If you want to have this object transported, yep, absolutely take a package assignment, a real one, and then transport it. And you have really to check the service was created and its metadata was loaded successfully. The loaded successfully part is really important. Without that, don't go any further. Yeah, you will just have issues. So now let's search for this service, and you see we have now an ICF node which is active in green, and we have a system alias. Let's try to call it via the browser, and we get a pop-up for username and passwords. That's good. I put in the developer user and my password, and looks good. We get something which looks like XML. That is not actually the metadata from the service, but it's which entities are available from the service. You get the metadata when you put in the $metadata. Okay, very nice. And perhaps we can check one of the entities I wanted says sales order headers. That's what I use in my example. And let's see if we get some sales orders back from the service and perhaps format it in JSON, because that looks better and is more compact. So it could be that's still compiling in the backend, and that will take a moment. So just to be sure that the backend is doing something, we see here, yeah, SM50, there is something going on. So Startle framework is perhaps still getting compiled and done, but let's move on and continue in the web IDE, because here we can create now an app based on this service using the Fiori app wizard. Okay, web IDE is here. Let's create a new project from template, and we will create a nice Fiori master detail application with our sales orders listed on the left, and for the project name we call it EPM sales orders demo. Okay, now for the data connection, let's choose the service catalog, which is our A4H system. And now it switches into the system. I have my service name, and this is now only available as I activated the service. And now the metadata is red, and we see also the entities here. Good, let's go on. And now let's customize our template. We have a type app for Fiori Launchpad, that's good. We give it a title, sales orders. For the namespace, I have to be careful because I use this name later on when I configure the Fiori Launchpad. And so let's go here. I don't provide a description. For the object collection, we change the order headers. The order ID is an object collection ID, and then we take for the object title, let's take the customer ID. Numeric attribute, let's take the gross amount, and then do we have a currency code? Yes, we have. And let's see if there is something on the details and items. We have items, and there is the item number, the item title. Let's go for the product ID, and then we have a numeric attribute, which is, let's take the gross amount again, and for the unit of measure we take the currency code again. Okay, let's finish. And after this app is now generated, let's do a short test. Right click on it, run as web application, and here we go. And now see our application loaded in the Launchpad simulation, and we have items that are coming directly from our backend system. Okay, looks very nice for a generated application. And now let's deploy that into our ABAP backend. So deploy to ABAP repository in our A4H system. Now let's go next. We deploy it as a new application. We give it a name. Let's see if I've specified something here. And yep, here that's the name I wanted to use. And give it a description, sales orders, or perhaps EPM sales orders. And for the package we could choose $TMP. So let's browse for it. It can take some time, as it's also being compiled as the other stuff is. And let's see, let's do it a second time. I think then the service will return it. Okay, good. It's only for the first time. And let's finish. And what you will see is in the lower part of the screen, in the console, You see there's something going on, or here on the top there's a build process. So actually the coding which was generated is not the final result which will be pushed into the other backend. You see here under a folder dist, that is the folder which is really then published to the backend system. And now just let's check the SE80, because here we will find in our local objects, we will find nothing. But let's go for the BSP application and let's search for this application, and you see the BSP is a repository which is used for the application to store in the backend system. Okay, good. Now we can head to the next step. As we deployed our application in the backend already, now we can add it to the Fiori Launchpad. For that, there is a transaction LTB LPD underscore cust. I've added that also to my favorites. And in this application, you have to create a role, an instance. You have to create a new Launchpad. And I will do that as I've described it here. I will take that EPM, and a description, which is EPM demo. I will not use a namespace. I have to confirm that I don't want to use a namespace. And now let's create a new application here. And the link text I want to use is EPM sales order. And the application type we want to use is an URL. So in the URL we provide as a relative path, not an absolute with hostname, because you want to transport it later on. And so it's not really advisable to have something which is absolute. So we define an application alias. This application alias we can use to reference later in the configuration of the catalog. And we have to provide so-called additional information. And in this case, this is the definition of the SAP UI5 component. And here you see a match to the namespace I specified before. Let's check the web application and the component shares. In the component shares you will find this namespace also, and that is how our application is actually called in the Fiori Launchpad, by this component name. Okay, so let's save that. So we have something in our Launchpad configuration, and now we will be able to add this into the Fiori Launchpad Designer. The Fiori Launchpad Designer is actually also an SAP UI5 application which allows us to customize catalogs and groups. A catalog contains the tiles we want to show our users, and the groups is then actually the default which our users are given. Okay, so here let's create a new app with an app launcher static and a semantic object. Okay, let's go. So we create a new catalog. I call it set EPM. EPM demo as the title, and the ID is set EPM. So let's save it. And we have an empty catalog. Now let's add a new tile, and we take a static tile. And this static tile, we call it the EPM sales order. No keywords. For the icon, choose whatever you want. You get a long list here. I just take one example. And so for the semantic object, there is objects already provided, and for example for EPM, the enterprise procurement model, which is which is a new demo model instead of S-Flight. There are this defined, and we have an action display. So that looks good. And yeah, let's take it. That's okay for now. Let's remember the semantic object, EPM sales order, and action display, because we have to define a target mapping. That will now link the tile we've defined here with the configuration that we did in LDP cast. So let's create a target mapping. It created a new empty line, and now we click on configure, and now we can go here for EPM sales order, and for display we wanted to link to our UI5 app type, and no, we don't want to use this one. We want to use the Fiori app using LDP cast, because here we have now the Launchpad role, and there is the EPM and Launchpad instance and application alias. So the application alias, don't know if it's looking it up. Yes, it looks up, and so on. So that's fine. That's our link now to the LDP customizing we did before. Let's save it. And finally, we not only want to have a new catalog, we also want to have a default for our user. And to do that, let's do the create a group. And we will enable our users to customize the group, and we want to show a new tile. And this tile we want to show comes from the catalog which we just created, which is the EPM demo catalog, and here we add this tile. Now we have a tile for our users, and we have to now assign this group and catalog to a user. This is done again in the backend system in transaction PFCG, and here we create a new role which I call set EPM to be consistent with the other stuff. And let's save it. And then in the menu there are special entries. We don't have any more transactions, but we are using here SAP Fiori tile groups and tile catalogs. So let's first go for the tile catalog, and here we choose the set EPM, and then let's go for the Fiori tile group, and here let's go again with F4 and choose the group we've just created. Let's save it and assign it to our user, the developer. Save it again, and let's go back and have a try. Here is the transaction for the Fiori Launchpad, and we should see a new group assigned to our user, which is called EPM demo. So let's scroll down here. It's the EPM sales order tile, and when we click it, it will display us sales orders. That is our application we just created minutes ago in the Web IDE. Very nice. So let's just double check our documentation. Now we are done here, just in time, 24 minutes today. And now let's see. I have some links I want to show you. All this is very well documented in on the web page for the RDS solution for Fiori. And the most important thing here to remember is when you click here on this menu, then you get all the detailed documents. So just open them, read through them. It's an excellent documentation how to get Fiori up and running also in your local installation. And then for the business guys, there is a Fiori apps library where you can enter in different categories. So for example, if you have a specific role, or if you want to see by backend product, for example for the new S4 Fiori apps, then go for that and browse through the offering by SAP. And it's for the business guys, I said, yeah, that's nice. You get here the product features with screenshots, but there is also here then all the implementation information, and very important then also how to configure and how to extend them. Read through all this great content. It's really worth reading, and have fun with Fiori and the Fiori Launchpad in your environment.